Hi there. I'm just driving, and that is why I am not holding onto the phone. I just feel like I have a lot on my mind. I need to kind of a confessional. This is going to be a bit. Just kind of like unload some things that I've been weighing on me. And, people give me shit about doing these videos in the car, but I always have usually someone home at my house, and it's usually one of my kids, and I just don't think it's very appropriate for some of these things that I say for them to hear. So that is why I talk in the car. And I think a whole lot when I'm driving. And last night, or yesterday, I got a call about doing a talk at an abused women's group. And it was a church group, or I think it was AA group. But anyways, I was so excited, and she's like, but it's Valentine's Day, and I'm like, yes, I can't think of a better reason than Valentine's Day to teach them how to love themselves. And last night, that was completely the case. But then I woke up on Valentine's Day, and I felt lonely, super lonely. And I feel like a fraud, and I called and canceled. And that is because, I have used every possible, imaginable thing to not feel. And I've done boundaries, and I've done everything that they say I should do, and removing toxic people. But it's left me with nobody. My mom has always been unhealthy, and I've gotten no contact from her my whole life. Back and forth. It's like my therapist told me I'm going to a well expecting to get water, and it's an empty well. And I remember that. And sometimes she sucks me back in, and the last time we worked together, it's like a breakup, I was telling her how hard my life has been, because she's hasn't been there, and she's like, why didn't you call me? And I'm like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, because you always leave me. I'm like, your love has never been conditional, and coming from a daughter that grew up with a single mom, she was my only person. I mean, my dad had his family, and growing up, it was just me and my mom, and I was left to take care of her. And so she's like, I'm like, you leave me, and she's like, I promise I'm not going to this time. I'm always going to be here. I'm like, but Mom, if I do something wrong, you just you don't just get mad at me, but you just unlove me and don't want to talk to me and say horrible things, horrible things. And I knew when she said that that things had changed. I knew they wouldn't, but I still wanted to believe it. And then I have my older son, and that was complete. I feel like my arm's missing when I think about it. I'll do a topic on that some other time. But I think what's really weighing on my heart is that a really close cousin of mine that I've always been close to, which Jeff and I as a couple weren't really close with them. So it's mind-boggling to me. And this is a whole narcissist, and I read about this, and it's why am I thinking that this is different? This is what I hear. This is what happens. You're not special, Angie. He's not a better narcissist than their narcissist exes. This is what they do. And he did so much smear campaigns and I followed suit. I was telling someone last night about my divorce, and he just like didn't really even know how to comprehend it. And I think there's maybe one person who's kind of been through the whole thing with me, and that is my therapist. Again, well, I'm not even gonna go there with my mom, but she made a comment about how she thinks that she has like PTSD from watching me go through this, and so I backed away. And so I've been dealing with this by myself. All the things that were done to me, all the things that continue, like my family or my extended family says play the victim, and I'm like, I don't know like how other people would handle this, but my life went from like Cinderella to Lifetime Movie Network like overnight. And within a week, every picture of me was taken down his Facebook and replaced by someone else. And it was hard to fathom. I mean, we had blended a family. He had 2 kids, I had 2 kids, we had one together. I loved those kids, and there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about them. So there was a lot of loss. I got kicked out of my house because we'll talk about that another time. I got kicked out of my house, and then when I was trying to get my house back, he said he needed it for work, and so the judge said he has a home office here. Yeah, you can have it. Angie, how are you going to pay for it? I'm like, I don't even know what the mortgage is. But I really freaking needed something, some place to like just ground myself. I mean, having nothing, going through a divorce from a narcissist was like having no family. I mean, my dad kind of, I know he means well, but he very much makes things worse at times by invalidating. And he still continues to invalidate me. I went and spoke to his pastor about like wanting to die. And like, do you go to heaven? And all these things, and I can remember as a little girl, like some girls dream of Prince Charming. I dreamed of going in a coma and waking up when I was 18. And a therapist said that was my way of my soul's way of handling the abuse. And it wasn't just like one person, it was like a handful. I mean, the more I work on that issue, I find more and more and more, and it's like, good God, no wonder, like, shame runs through my blood like there's no tomorrow. But I think my way of living, and during those times as a young girl, was to go somewhere else and want to be in a coma. And so I did. I mean, I wanted that. Well, I still feel like now I want to be in a coma. I've looked up ways to be in a coma. Like, I just want to like go to sleep and wake up and have everything be fucking normal. Like, I mean, when I was married, like the end of my marriage, my ex used to come upstairs, and he would say, when we were trying to live in the same house, and he would ask me, knowing I'm depressed, and he would say, why are you here? Why are you still here? I'm like, and I thought he meant like living in the house. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I have nowhere to go. And he's like, why haven't you killed yourself yet? And he said it so freaking often and so matter of fact, like go kill yourself. Like, not like it's just like, yeah. And my mom would say the same freaking thing, except, I mean, she even said to my friend Leslie, who, I lost that one too, but she even said to Leslie, who she thought she was texting me, but she was texting Leslie, that I should do everyone a favor and kill myself. Like, so yeah, I feel that. I feel like I want to escape. And I've used every possible thing to numb the pain out there. Like, gambling's like the big thing now, which is probably the most damaging. And it's always been a way where I don't have to think, like, all the craziness that happened, I didn't have to think about any of that. I could just think about numbers, and it didn't matter if I won $100, $1,000. I mean, I've won 4 hand pays in one day, and it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can go home and pay bills. It was like, oh my God, that much more time, I don't gotta think. Like, that is my mindset. And I went in to get like an assessment, and the guy from high school was my assessor, and that's funny. I mean, it was really funny, actually. But and you know, in that one session, he got to like the core of everything, and he's like, Ange, and he knew me from high school, and he's like, I don't really know if it's one thing. I think that you will just do whatever it takes to not feel, to numb. And whether it's sex, drugs, alcohol, men, relationships, gambling, anything. And he's right. And so I get to these points where it's like, I'm so trying to be like, do things the right way. But when I don't gamble and I don't whatever, self-medicate, I want to die because it's too painful. And it's little things. He goes, you know, your core issue, Angie, is like abandonment and rejection. And he goes, and so when your ex sits here and says to you, don't drive on my driveway, like, what the fuck, really? That's his concern? Like, don't drive on my fucking driveway. Like, it bothers me, and I don't know. And he goes, and you know, I'm sure people are like, shit, just don't drive on his driveway. Or he goes, and some people are probably like, do spin outs on his driveway. I mean, he goes, but to you, it's like, that's rejection. That's like hitting my core wound right there. And he knows how to do that, and he still does it. And I think if I wasn't here, that my youngest son wouldn't have to deal with the back and forth. Because I don't want him to feel that. But I can't just keep freaking acting like his dad's okay the things he does either. There's no communication. I mean, I try to communicate about school, about anything I communicate. I send a text message. No, I send an email, and his response is, do not contact me, text me, call me, email me. It's like, how in the fuck am I supposed to co-parent with you? How? And everyone thinks he's so fucking great, and that's the thing that nobody knows. And I need to get this out because it's eating at me, and it's not going to go away until I deal with it. I mean, it goes all the way to sending pictures of my boobs to all these people from my phone, doctors I worked with, the varsity football coach for our kids. I mean, all these people, friends' husbands that I lost friendships over because I think I sent their husbands pictures of my boobs. Like, no. I woke up in the morning, and this was like 3 years ago, I think, almost 3 years ago, and to like these crazy messages about nipples. I'm like, but I didn't even see it. My work, I mean, he's done everything he knows to destroy me. He had this plan for a year in advance before we actually separated. And he insisted I get a psychological exam. I'm like, fine, yeah, I want to know, is something wrong with me? I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was super young, and I was on an antidepressant for having postpartum depression because when I was 20 and I had my oldest, I don't know if I had postpartum depression, honestly, or if it was just, I was just turned 20 a week before and I don't know. But anyways, so every time I had a baby, they put me on a medication. So, but I was always fearful because I didn't want to be like my mom. And so, so he had me go get a psychological exam, and we weren't together, and he locked me out of his office, but he'd go through my bedroom and dug up the freaking 16-page psychological exam evaluation, which it didn't say I was crazy by any means. I mean, it said I have trauma. I have complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. Like, I have abandonment issues. I have PTSD, which is like prevalent. I did all these tests. I have ADHD, which I already knew, but it's like he posted this. He showed everyone. It was like a damn Christmas card. And that's just like the very beginning of it. And I mean, it's only gotten crazier since then, but after all these things he's done, the fact that people can just like think that he's okay just because I haven't told anyone what he's done, and the fact that people can say, I just need to move on. You just need to let go. Just move on. My close cousin, Christy, this is where this kind of is making me really extra emotional, is she's liked all, like, I never seen anything that he had on his Instagram or anything. And thank God, I didn't want to. I just didn't care. I really don't care if he's dating Queen Elizabeth. I don't care who she is. I feel bad for her because she is exactly where I was. Exactly. I tried warning her. Nope. His first ex tried warning me. I didn't listen either. So, go figure. She's no different. It's not like all of a sudden he met his wonderful person now and now life's gonna be great. He's the same person. It's just a different person. I'm sure she's very empathetic. I'm sure she's very nurturing. I'm sure she has probably some issues, not like, but with boundaries or codependency. But I do know that it hurt. It hurt that as I was kicked out of my house, there's someone there. And my son met her once or twice, he said, and then they moved into the house. Oh yeah, while I was homeless. And he needed our house for, he told the judge, because he can't work because he has his home office there, which is a freaking laptop. Let me just put that out there. And a week after she ordered him to get the house, he moved out of the house. Wow. I'm still homeless. Actually, I wasn't homeless. I was living in my middle son's best friend's family's house on air mattresses in their dining room. And when he moved in there, he let her young 18, 20, I don't know the age really, her daughter and like 5 of her friends live in my house. Like, that was another freaking dagger. Like, that's like the first house I've lived in. That was what I called home. That's like what I built, like we built together. And to get it ripped away from me. And then I don't understand that. I don't. I had no money. I mean, I didn't have, to be honest with you, the best representation. And I'll talk about that too, why I think that's so important and why I'm so adamant about helping these women, because I know what it's like. And I want to help people, but I also need to stop being a fraud and acting like life's so great, because it doesn't always, and a lot of times it sucks, and a lot of times little things can happen, like you telling your close cousin, I keep going back to this, sorry, that it really hurts you that she likes all his pictures on the social media of, it's not just like likes the pictures, like he likes the pictures with him and the kids, which my other cousins like said, you know, they'll like those pictures, whatever, cool. But you gotta like all the pictures of him and his girlfriend. Like, that's just weird to me. Maybe, and you know what? If I'm wrong, please tell me. But this was a close cousin, like one of my closest cousins out of like 30. And we were at Christmas and I just couldn't fucking pretend anymore. Like, I'm not trying to live pretending. I can't. And so I sent a message and I just said, it really bothers me. It'd be different if you know, and I asked my other cousins, should I? And they're like, yeah, if it bothers you, you should. Like, okay. And I didn't at the time because I just wanted peace. I couldn't afford to let go of anyone else. But that's what life does. It takes away everything so you can rebuild. So while I'm not doing the talk tonight, I'm rebuilding so I can do the talk. And regardless if she doesn't want to listen to me and she basically picks him, like, too bad, he didn't do anything to me, that's between you guys. Like, okay, well, if someone murdered if someone like murdered the soul of your freaking whatever, is that okay? Like, you're just gonna be nice to them? I just don't know. I don't know. It hurts me, and it's because he's such a slime bag, and he continues to do this, and he continues to hurt people. There's not one person that, honestly, besides Leslie, that stuck up to him. My sister and her husband would run into games and hang out and have beers, like nothing's wrong. My oldest son, like, shit, the beginning of the divorce, I was trying to stick up for him, and now he's like cool with them. Like, I'm glad I raised kids that can forgive, and if it was just something he did, now it's okay. He's still trying to freaking destroy me. And what happened, and this is the biggest thing I'm going to end with, when I do these talks for women, I say the biggest thing that I wish I did different, and my therapist told me right in the beginning, as all this just started unfolding, like before I'd even knew anything, she's like, Angie, he is pushing you over the edge to make you look crazy to people. You're not crazy. Don't feed into that. Don't drink his Kool-Aid. I'm like, okay, got it, yep. But he would do these freaking, all these crazy allegations. I'm going into like restraining order court, getting a restraining order on me, and all these crazy things he's saying. I'm like, I've never been in a fight my entire life. I have never purposely gone out of my way to hurt someone. That's just not who I am. It's not my being. And so I went into court, and I went to all these people that I thought used to support me, and I was telling them all these things that he did, and it just sounded so fucking crazy to everyone. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, and he's like, see, she's crazy. Or I'd go to court and I would have all these, like, be so freaking upset and try to, like, explain to someone that he's the one who's doing it. I wish I would have known that it's called projection now, that what he does, he accuses me of, but I didn't. So I'm sitting here trying to, like, get people to understand all he's doing, and I'm the one who looked nuts. As he just calmly sat by and he was like, see, look at her, she's crazy. And people are like, yeah, she's crazy. Like, he wouldn't do that. No, he wouldn't do that. Because they didn't see that side of him. And the reason why is because I didn't want anyone to think that he was that way. It was my second marriage. I can't have another freaking marriage or divorce. I was determined to make that marriage work no matter what the cost. I took blame for it. He was abusive in more than emotional, physical, financial ways. Let's just leave it at that. And his dad was the same way to his mom. And I know without a doubt that he tried to make sure that this would not be a hard divorce. And I will go into that, but that's something I'm not really ready to deal with right now. But I just had to get it off my chest. I'm not going to do the talk today because I got to figure me out, and I'm not strong. And I come from with so much baggage, like so much baggage. And is everybody out to hurt me? I don't think so. I think what happens is that I pick people based on what I know, and what I know is unhealthy. My mom, I grew up unhealthy. Mom was not a mom. So when I was younger, I dated guys that were really dysfunctional, molested little boys while we babysat. I mean, these fucking crazy ass things happened. But that's because I think that if I had someone normal, I would have been bored. Because to me, love was high highs and low lows. So if they didn't have this crazy love that was like ridiculous dysfunction, I didn't think they loved me. And that's what I've gotten to the point of loving myself enough where I don't need any of that. And you know what? Not dating, not even like having no desire for that. I think I need to just switch teams. I really do. I don't think women are this freaking... Well, yeah, they are. Yeah, what am I talking about? Okay. So now my mind's kind of racing, and this is it. This is who I am. This is where I'm hurt. This is how I feel today. I'm going to try to keep a journal of how I feel. Because I don't know. If it helps someone, great. If there's someone out there that sees them in me or themselves and knows that they're not crazy, because I don't think I'm crazy. You're not crazy. You're not. Thank you.